come, Ray. The one constant through all the years, Ray, has been baseball.
Little roller up along first. Behind the bag. It gets through Buckner. Here comes Knight, and the Mets win. Now the 2-1. Line drive to the base. Justice has scored a tying run. Green to the plate. And he is safe. Safe at the plate. The Braves go to the World Series.
Had reserved seats somewhere along one of the baselines that sat when they were children and cheered their heroes.
Gibson swings and a fly ball to deep right field. This is going to be a home run. Unbelievable!
A 3-run home run for Bucky Dent. The Yankees now lead it by a score of 3-2.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mazeroski has hit a 1-0 pitch over the left field fence at Ford Field to win the 1960 World Series.
They'll arrive at your door as innocent as children, longing for the past.
The Pope arrived at Yankee Stadium. As one enthusiastic announcer put it, he is standing on second base.
Reggie Jackson. Long drive right field. It is goodbye. Big World Series for Reggie Jackson.
The Blue Jays are World Series champions as Joe Carter hits a 3-run home run.
Back to throw. There's a left back. A Kennedy, I believe. The Giants from the pennant. The Giants from the pennant. The Giants from the pennant.
The 0-1 pitch. A liner off Nagy's glove into center field. The Florida Marlins have won the World Series.
The memories will be so thick that I can brush them with my faces.
The 1-0 delivery to Fisk. He swings, long drive, left field. If it stays fair, it's gone. Home run! The Red Sox win. And the series is...
Lolich fires. Ball is hit high in the air. This should be the series. Freehand waving everybody away in foul territory. Detroit wins. Here's the pitch to Willie.
There's a liner straight to Richardson. The ball game is over and the World Series is over. Willie McCovey hit it like a bullet. A line drive right.
Baseball to mark the time.
The Oakland A's take. I'll tell you what, we're having an earthquake.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Candlestick Park for Game 3 of the 1989 World Series.
It's been erased like a blackboard, rebuilt and erased again.
Frank Robinson, the right-hand batter.
Long drive to left field. Way back. This is goodbye. Home run.
Base hit loaded, 1 out. Pena in a jam. The Twins are going to win the World Series. The Twins have won it.
Ozzie with 1 out. Smith corks one into right down the line. It may go. Go crazy, folks. Go crazy. It's a home run. And the
Willie Mays just brought this crowd to its feet with a catch, which must have been an optical illusion to a lot of people.
This field, this game, is a part of our past, Ray. It reminds us of all that once was good, and it could be again.
Broadcasted live.
Hey! Who wants to have some fun?
There are balls coming from all over the place. Left field, center field, right field. See, this is the kind of thing, quite honestly, right now, that makes you want to see the Chicago Cubs team lose.
Now, you just saying you want to have fun, or do you really want to have fun?
It'll be fun.
Will the next person that sees anybody throw anything onto this field, point them out, or get them out of here? You don't live in Cleveland. You live in Cincinnati.
You talking to me? You talking to me?
That is the farthest thing in the universe from the truth.
Hello, everyone, live. It's the Dan Scott Show. And right there is your host, Dan Scott.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Monday edition of the show. I am your host, Dan Scott. Very good to have you with us here. After a week away, we are back in the proverbial saddle. I wish I could say that the show was going to be better. I can't make that promise. I can tell you that I feel better than I did for much of last week, and I guess we'll just have to kind of roll with that and see what happens. Forrest Stulting is not here. A cheer goes up from the crowd just for that alone. That is Cobb Oxford.
Together again.
Well, you know what? I've got it. If it'll load.
Again. That's the Buck Owen version I found yesterday.
My tears have stopped falling.
Man.
Normally it was Ray Charles, but you
I used to go with the Ray version. Yeah,
but it's old school week, so you went older school.
I did. I went older school
to bring in the Buck Owens version.
It is so good to see you again. I'm glad you're doing well. I just told you as I walked in the door here, sitting here brings back memories of, I don't want to tell you how long ago, but 83 and 84, I used to haunt this press box some.
Not this one.
Yeah.
No.
Well, okay.
The old press box.
The old press box, but I mean the view is the same.
Yes.
Which is still one of the greatest views in college football, in my opinion, with Paris Mountain in the background. But Rick Covington was the SID, and Monty Dutton and Dick Sheridan. Saw a great playoff game here between Western Carolina and Furman. A snow game, playoff game. Stephen F. Austin came in here. Chaz Fox actually saw Bobby Lamb play quarterback. So
yeah, there's a lot of folks who kind of want to forget the whole Stephen F. Austin playoff game.
That was a crazy day. It was.
Because my understanding, it wasn't snowing.
It wasn't, and it started. And I've lived in this area most of my life. I mean, I'm from Seneca and have lived in Anderson since '82, and I have never seen it snow that hard here. And it looked like Green Bay, and it was crazy. And then by the time game ended, the snow had stopped. But it was a disappointing day for the Paladins, but just a crazy weather day.
Well, for those of you who don't know, and I'm sure there are many of you who don't, some of you who do, during the old days of the radio show over at Clemson, Cobb.
I've followed you everywhere.
I know it.
For the 9 million radio stations you've worked for. I mean, you know, I had to have a scorecard to figure out which radio station you were at.
Cobb in another life was a skip tracer. What can I say? But Cobb was a how do I describe this? I want to say you were.
I was the person that came and messed up the show once a week.
Yeah, the ratings
keeping it from getting really good.
The ratings drag.
Right.
Exactly. Once a week when you decided to show up. Mm-hmm. The premise was
when the traffic wasn't real bad in Pendleton, or it wasn't snowing.
Or it wasn't snowing in Pendleton. Yeah. The premise was you were going to be there once a week. Sometimes that might be once every 4 months.
Right.
But you know, it was there often enough that you became.
I showed up a little bit more often than Haley's Comet.
Thank God for that. And you know, as we got toward Thanksgiving this year, I spent quite a bit of time talking about what I think became my favorite show that we did every year for the last 5 or 6 years of that program, where we would go to Bilo in Clemson. We would set up the deep fryers. We'd deep fry turkeys, give away sandwiches for people who came and brought food or went into Bilo, got food for the local food bank.
I was there for the very first
Yes, you were.
fried turkey show when we did it in the parking lot of the radio station.
Yes, and somebody had to bring us a different fryer.
Somebody had to bring us a burner that actually worked. And it was an experiment at that time. It was something I had read about, and Dan said, "Well, that's a show." I said, "Okay, we'll try it." And
this was in the days before.
Pretty good.
This is in the days before we videoed any of this stuff.
Oh yeah.
Before that became the thing on social media. So I think maybe fortunately some of that stuff is not is not
it's a good thing
preserved
there's not
for
video
posterity's
evidence.
sake.
Yeah. Well, and then there was the show that we got the fire department involved, and we actually burned a couch in the back of the station.
Oh, wasn't that fun?
One. I don't. What was the occasion?
The occasion was that there was no way West Virginia was going to beat Georgia in that Sugar Bowl.
Oh, okay.
Remember?
All right.
And I said, well, you might be right. I think they will, and if they do, I promise you we will burn a couch like they do after big wins in Morgantown in the Sunnyside district. So sure enough, West Virginia rolled it up on Georgia at the Sugar Bowl, and we had one of our listeners gleefully donate a couch. We painted it up Georgia colors, you remember.
I we'll forget the look on the fireman's face when that thing went up in about 2 seconds.
Yeah, well, as he knew it would. And,
how fast it burned.
And we did it and also as an educational thing.
Right, yeah. Don't smoke on your couch.
Right, and I, because my whole thing was, well, we'll throw some gasoline on there, something like that. And the fireman was, no, you don't have to do that. He said, just watch this. He stuck some newspaper, remember, under the under one of the cushions, lit the newspaper, and within like 30 seconds, man, the entire couch was engulfed in flames. It really was a pretty memorable experience. And the fact that it took place at the expense of all of our Georgia fans was even better.
Of course.
Which
always good to gig Georgia fans.
Which always brings to mind the quintessential Georgia joke. How do you get a Georgia grad off your front porch?
Pay him for the pizza.
Pay him for the pizza, exactly.
As Louis Grizzard used to say, if you wanted a Georgia diploma, you just rode through Athens and rolled the window down. They'd throw one in.
I like it.
So
whatever it takes.
And he was a Georgia grad.
Yes,
so
he was.
Say that.
Well, it's like me being from West Virginia. Because I'm from West Virginia, that gives me license to make fun of just about everybody else. So, I mean, because I'm from West Virginia, and we are the butt of most of, or at least a good portion of the jokes. But when people start joking about West Virginia and putting us down, I just always come back with the best one, and that shuts it down. And that is that, our legislature is really working on dragging us out of that old mentality and trying to get us into the modern era. So, when we're divorced, we're no longer married, but we are still brother and sister. So, so you don't completely cut the the whole family tie thing's not complete.
I was at our weekly trivia night last week, and one of the categories was bad cover tunes.
Oh, yeah?
And one of the covers was William Shatner. So, of course, it brought to mind.
Oh, no.
Every time West Virginia had a big win, I would beg Dan to do the Shatner. And
we had a big basketball win over Pitt yesterday.
That was always an awesome thing.
You think we should break it out today?
We you know what? It's so old school. People would probably get a kick out of it.
I don't know. It might scare some people away. But we did have a big win over Pitt in basketball yesterday.
Well, Pitt's terrible. Pitt is garbage.
But
Pitt is a 3-alarm dumpster fire.
It's the only remnant of the backyard brawl that still remains.
Yeah, that's a shame.
And anytime West Virginia beats Pitt in anything,
yeah, you're right.
It's a big win. So maybe we've got an hour to figure it out. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I did not understand that Kevin Stallings hire. I just didn't understand it, and it's not working well.
There's a lot of things you don't understand.
I know there are, but that's one of them.
Well, on the show coming up today, we actually are going to do some sports talk. Furman had a big win over South Carolina State, and you say, well, what was big about a win over South Carolina State? Well, number one, we lost to them last year in a year that the Paladins set or tied the school record for wins at 23. South Carolina State came in here and beat Furman. It's in the middle of exam week. Furman exams run from Wednesday to Wednesday or Thursday to Wednesday, and historically the Paladins do not play well on that Saturday in the middle of exam week. Well, they win 101-78. The out-of-conference record is now 7-3 with one home game out of conference remaining this Thursday against Montreat, but then road games at UNC Wilmington and Tennessee to close out the non-conference portion of the schedule. So the number of wins in the non-conference is going to be higher than it has been in recent years. And this team that's picked at the top of the Southern Conference is hoping to go into conference play on the 30th of this month at VMI with some momentum behind its back. So we're going to talk about that, let you hear from Bob Ritchie coming up in just a little bit. Talk about some of the things going on in the world of college football, maybe a little NFL. Did you enjoy the snow game in Buffalo yesterday?
I heard
speaking
people
of
talking about
speaking
it,
of old school,
but I didn't see any of it.
Really?
Did not even a highlight.
I mean, Cobb.
I heard it was snowing so bad.
The snow was ankle deep, and you know they would bring the guys on every time there was a stoppage and play, TV timeout or whatever. The guys with the snow blowers would come out and they would blow off the yard line so you could see every 5 yards. And within just a matter of minutes, it was all covered up again. It was old school football. I mean, this was the NFL of the 1960s.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Oh yeah.
Back
without the mud.
Yeah, but when there were no dome stadiums, when there was no AstroTurf, when there you know everybody played outside in inclement weather, this was cool.
Yeah. Well, Army Navy was the same way Saturday, and Army actually wore solid white uniforms.
And I want to
camouflage.
And I want to talk a little bit about the Army Navy game as well. Not just the on the field product, but the whole production. I want to talk about that.
I cry like a baby every year. It's an amazing moment when they sing the alma maters after the game, and it's what college sports should be about. But unfortunately, big business has taken over.
Well, which is going to lead into a segment.
Write that one down.
Toward the end of the broadcast, Army, Navy,
real college football,
real. We're kicking around the idea of starting a weekly podcast. Two of us and some of our ancient friends, and calling it Grumpy Old Broadcasters, and the idea being that this is the way things should be, and no, you can't have your ball back, and stay off our lawn, and
right,
and all this kind of stuff. Just a cynical, grumpy old man look at the way
we want things the way they used to be.
That's right. We're progress is fine, but there comes a point in time when you can progress too far.
We don't want schools that have 20 different uniforms.
Right.
A home uniform and a road uniform.
Which is what Clay Hendricks brought back to Furman
this year.
And
Dabo did the same thing at Clemson. It's white on the road, orange and white at home, orange pants for big games. And that's it. That's all it's ever going. Not like Oregon, where you can go to Oregon, play an entire career, and not wear the same uniform. And that's the truth. They have so many combinations. So that's just not
Stay
right.
off our lawn.
How about baseball, though? I can't believe you haven't.
Yeah.
Maybe you've talked about it, but not only do you not want to pitch to the Yankees anymore, I don't think you want to get into a bench-clearing brawl with them either.
And
it's a good thing. I told my number one Yankee fan, I said, it is a good thing that Bowie Kuhn still isn't commissioner of baseball, because I don't think he'd allow that to happen.
Yeah. It's interesting because on my timeline this week on Facebook, one of the memories I shared from a couple of years ago was on this one of the days last week was the anniversary of the Reds in the offseason heading into 1977 trading for Vida Blue from the Oakland A's, and Bowie Kuhn stopped it.
Denied it.
When he had denied the trade, said it wasn't in the best interest of baseball, which is interesting because 2 months into the season, he allowed the Reds to trade for Tom Seaver.
Yeah.
Which I think we got the better end of the deal anyway.
Right.
But, boy, could you imagine Vida Blue and Tom Seaver in the same rotation?
Joe Rudy, right? Was it Joe Rudy? And I was trying to remember who else was involved in that trade, and he denied it. Yeah, and I can't believe that there hasn't been a conspiracy theory involving Derek Jeter, who is now part owner of the Florida Marlins, Miami Marlins, whatever they call themselves now.
What in the trade? To the
he
Yankees?
Got Stanton to the Yankees. So, I don't know. That's probably the largest outfield in baseball history.
Well, given the fact that whenever you and I are together, somehow, some way, the talk is going to lean towards wrestling at some juncture. We could look at a Stanton, Aaron Judge tag team and put that into some kind of historical perspective.
Vince McMahon would like that.
Yeah, Giancarlo Stanton and Aaron Judge. And how long would it take before one of them turned on the other?
Yeah, it's going to be quite the pairing. I just think that's one of the bigger deals that I remember in quite a while. I mean, it's just to have two home run hitters like that on the same roster is just amazing.
Oh, I agree. I agree 100%. Anyway, so we got a lot to try to get through in what's about 43 minutes. And if we go over, we go over. That's fine. But we'll do that. We'll take a break. We'll come back and get into the meat of whatever this ends up being. It's old school week. Tom Van Hoy will be in here tomorrow and I think Thursday. And we're still working on Wednesday and Friday. So kind of stay with us. We'll be back with more of the Dan Scott Show right after this.
Hey, Furman fans, it's baseball season. Here at Ingalls, we know that as you root for the home team, sometimes you want more than just peanuts and Cracker Jack. And while we do deliver on your favorite ballpark classics, we're proud to offer a packed lineup of everything you need to make your next meal a home run. Ingalls, a proud sponsor of Furman Baseball and the official grocery store of Furman Athletics. Go Dins!
The Atlanta Bread Company at Cherrydale Point offers a dining experience that will have you coming back for more time and time again. Everything is freshly made on site, including the different varieties of bread and all the baked goodies. And the menu, Atlanta Bread Company offers a wide variety from hot soups and chili to hot and cold sandwiches and paninis. Even breakfast selections topped off with your choice of piping hot coffees. Come see for yourself. You'll love it. The Atlanta Bread Company at Cherrydale Point, proud sponsors of the Furman Paladins and the Dan Scott Show.
Dan, I find your question to be a little bit confusing. I mean, how old school do you want to go?
Looking for a good lunch spot in the Summer's Rest area? Cafe at Williams Harbor is your place. Williams Harbor has food for the whole family, from the famous ribs to the barbecue chicken quesadilla and their daily lunch specials, which includes the award-winning BLT on pimento cheese with pepper jelly, served Tuesday to Thursday. Williams Harbor also serves breakfast on Saturdays from 8 to 11, perfect before Furman home game. And don't forget the gift shop, which offers items for anyone on your list. Go see your friends at the Cafe at Williams Hardware, 13 South Main Street in downtown TR. Full menu and operating hours at the Cafe at WilliamsHardware.com.
Say you've got a busted phone or tablet screen. Time to get a new device? Nope. Time to give it CPR. CPR Cell Phone Repair at Cherrydale can repair almost any phone or tablet screen on the market and usually can do it same day. In fact, if you have an iPhone, the fix usually takes less than an hour. CPR Cell Phone Repair also can fix computers and gaming systems, both screens and hard drives. And they sell refurbished devices and new accessories. Stop by and see the new owner, Janet Culver, today and check them out on Facebook. That's CPR Cell Phone Repair at Cherrydale, 864-282-9097. Give it CPR today. Well, we got so much stuff going on here that it's hard to keep track of it all. As I got to thinking about some of the things that would contribute to old school week, and yet you're still here. That's Cobb Oxford, by the way. Coming up later in the program, a feature that we did on the old radio show for, I would say close to a couple of years, maybe not quite that long, but one that became very, very popular, and then one that was also from certain people who said, this is a sports talk show. Why are you doing right? You know, those idiots.
Grumpy old listeners.
Grumpy old listeners. But we're going to do, a little bit later on, we're bringing back, probably one time only, thank the Lord, Hey Fred. And what that is, or what that was, and will be again, is that we come up with some inane question, submit it to Fred Cunningham from News Channel 7, and Fred responds. And normally what he would do is we'd send it to him on Facebook. He would respond on Facebook, and we would read his answer on the show. Occasionally, we
would get live phone calls.
Occasionally, we would get
from
live phone calls.
From the WSPA newsroom.
Occasionally, not often, but occasionally we would.
I thought it was more live than tape.
We did more reading than we did phone calls when Fred's schedule would allow. When his people got in touch with our people,
right?
You know, we would get the occasional
phone call. And our people
call.
are tough to get in touch with.
Ain't that the truth? But today, when we do Hey Fred, you're actually going to see the video. Fred shot us a selfie video.
Wow.
So we'll do that a little bit later on in the program.
I look forward to
that. What caught your fancy from the weekend? There's a lot of stuff we could talk about. A lot of college basketball's kind of in full swing now. College football's winding down until we get into the bowl games here shortly. And
I would say number one probably Grayson Allen getting a black eye and losing a game. That was thrilling. Boston College just
you enjoyed that, did you?
Boston College made 11 of 16 from 3 in the first half and took the lead to the locker room at the break, and then came out in the first 4 minutes of the second half. They were whistled for 6 fouls. Imagine that, Dan Scott. But they managed to beat back Jamie Luckey and his crew and pull off an upset, give Duke their first loss of the year. And so it could signal maybe the ACC is going to be a little more interesting than people think. Clemson went to 8-1 with it was lackluster for 25 or 30 minutes. Samford, a surprisingly good 2-7 team. I think they've got some skill. They've played a rough schedule.
They're going to be one. They're going to be one of the teams to contend with in the Southern Conference.
They had lost a one-pointer at I'm trying to remember now, but they had lost a one-pointer coming into Clemson, and Clemson finally turned it on and ended up beating them by 22. I've seen Western Carolina, decent squad, so I think Southern's going to be a very interesting league this year.
Yeah, I mean, the good thing for us is that you go back just a handful of years, and the conference RPI was down in the low to mid 20s, and maybe even lower than that. And in the last 2 or 3 seasons, it's jumped up to the 13 to 15 range in conference RPI.
And I'll probably get kicked out of here for saying this, but last week, Wofford hit a 3 at the buzzer to beat Georgia Tech at their new place in Spartanburg. So, there's some teams in that league that can play. And ACC, everybody's pointing at Duke. North Carolina has had some uneven efforts early, but they're North Carolina, of course. Louisville, without Pitino, how are they going to handle that?
Well, if they could somehow just circle the wagons like Bobby Bowden used to
Well,
always
they
say.
have. They've done pretty well.
There's a whole lot of mess there, but there's also still a lot of talent on that basketball team.
Yeah. They're not hurting for players, so they can hold it together. They'll be all right. But yeah, NC State with a new coach. They're more up tempo now. They've been playing well. Wake has been struggling surprisingly, but they're missing John Collins. So, but yeah, Tigers are picked 13th. I don't think the Tigers are they always exceed those expectations. The writers in the ACC always put Clemson near the bottom, and ever since Brad's been there, generally middle of the pack is where Clemson ends up, and that's probably about right from what I see so far.
What I thought was interesting, talking about the writers in the ACC, when the All-ACC football team came out and Dorian O'Daniel was a second-team All-Conference performer.
That's obscene.
And since then, he's been named to, I think, 2
All-American,
first-team All-American teams.
Sports Illustrated, I know, is one. Yeah, he's a player. He's a real player. And I tell you, the Sugar Bowl is going to be very interesting in that you've got 2 quarterbacks that can beat you with their feet and are average to above average throwers. You've got 2 defenses that are very good against the run. So I think it boils down to whoever can control the other one's running game the best. It sounds simplistic, but I think that's what it's going to be.
Simplistic is what we do best.
Well,
here.
I still tell people to this day that if Scarborough had not broken his leg in Tampa, I think the result would have been different, because he's an absolute beast. And but I do think Clemson's better defensively this year too. So, well, plus O.J. Howard's gone, which helps. But then on the other side, Hunter Renfro's back, and I told people, I said, I guarantee you the first meeting Saban had was, I don't care who else catches it, but he ain't catching it this year. You know, he has torched them 2 years in a row.
Find the skinny, slow white guy.
Right, and stop him.
And stay with him.
And that has been amazing to watch, Dan, this year. It's not been the offensive circus it has been the last couple of years with Deshaun Watson, but on third down, you know that Bryant's looking for Renfro. You know he's going to throw it to Renfro. You know Renfro's on the field, and they just can't stop it, or they just refuse to cover it. And I don't know why anybody just doesn't double him and make Bryant look somewhere else. But it's just amazing to watch. The kid is just I don't know how to describe it. It's just amazing to watch. He just makes plays. And you know, speaking of Renfro, something that amazed me Saturday night when Baker Mayfield won the Heisman, first walk-on in history to win the Heisman.
Yeah, I mean, in fact, he's a 2-time walk-on.
I just think that's. You would have thought by now that there would have been somebody else, but that's amazing.
I mean, you know, look, the kid's supremely talented, and to his credit, he has not had the Baker Mayfield lay an egg game this year. Of course, they haven't played Clemson yet.
Too much sugar in his diet. Well, they haven't seen a defense like they will see in any of the other three. Georgia, defense is real. Clemson, defense is real. Alabama, by the first of the year, Alabama will be as healthy as they've been in a long time. So, I just think that's a major factor. I think he takes a lot of chances with the football and gets away with it 90% of the time, and I just don't know if you can do that against really good defenses.
Yeah, and the fact that they don't play any defense.
No.
At Oklahoma.
No, it's not what they're used to seeing. And I don't know what it is about that league. I mean, you know, I follow Oklahoma State for family reasons, and it's just amazing that league just doesn't. I don't know why somebody in that league doesn't hire a stick defensive coordinator and start trying to play defense, but they just, I guess their MO, they want to score 100 points a game. So it is crazy compared to the Big Ten and the SEC.
You got to sell them tickets.
Yeah, baby. I guess they're selling tickets.
And you know, even the SEC, I think, in a lot of ways, by and large, is still living more on reputation, maybe with the top couple of schools.
Yeah.
As opposed to.
But I think the SEC's poised now to get turned around here a little bit. I mean, it's with that massive amount of coaching turnover, you know, somebody's going to take hold, and it's just they've got to get somebody to challenge Alabama. And now that you've got, you know, Chad Morris at Arkansas, who obviously will design and run an offense that has been proven to give Alabama problems. As I wrote somebody during the Auburn-Alabama game, I said it is blatantly obvious to me that Auburn watched the Clemson-Alabama national championship game because Auburn was running at a very fast tempo, and it frankly was giving Alabama a lot of problems.
Yeah.
And so and then Jimbo Fisher at Texas Tech. Well, I mean, Sumlin was an offensive guy, but I think Jimbo will move them up a level. So it'll be it's going to be interesting to see how. And Saban's not getting any younger, so Alabama will go through their time here shortly.
Before we go to break, also for those here who are watching and still paying attention to what's going on at the FCS level, you saw James Madison with a dramatic rally, the top seed in the FCS playoffs on Friday night to knock out Weber State. You saw North Dakota State lay the smackdown on Wofford on Saturday.
What a difficult environment
the number
that
2
is
seed
for a visiting
team.
And
you know what? I understand in the world of social media, you're trying to get things out and keep people's attention and highlight great things when they happen. But the most misleading tweet that I saw over the weekend came from the FCS itself, FCS football itself, whoever does that account. It's 35-10 at halftime in the Fargo Dome, right?
Right.
And
most points that Wofford had allowed in a game this year, they allowed in one half.
I mean, they had been in possession of the Golden Horseshoe all season long.
Oh, yeah.
And the luck finally ran out.
Yeah.
Good. I mean, but look, they are a good team.
Right.
But anyway, here's the tweet. I can't remember the guy's name, but so-and-so and the North Dakota State defense has limited Wofford to 0 passing yards in the first half. And I'm like, that should read Mike Ayers has limited Wofford to 0 passing yards in the first half.
Or ties a record held by many.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Wofford not throwing for a lot of yardage is not tweetable news. And I just thought, okay, that's I mean, that's nice. That looks good for people who don't know what Wofford is all about and what their offense is all about. But I can promise you, it's not the first time they've been at the half and have had 0 passing yards in a game. And usually they're winning when they're doing that. So I just thought that was one of the more misleading tweets of the season.
Back in my high school days, when I covered football in Northeast Georgia, there was a coach who won several state championships at several different schools named Rodney Walker, who was at Stevens County. And they lined up in the wishbone, but basically they would go student body right, student body left, student body up the middle. There was no traditional wishbone about it. Well, one night I said, well, Coach, they won the game. I said, you only threw 3 passes tonight. What's the deal? He goes, yeah, we were really airing it out, weren't we? So I've seen that kind of football, and hey, If as long as you don't get behind, it works.
Yeah.
So
as long as you don't get behind. And that's the thing. I mean, they turned it over.
Yeah, they gave up 2 touchdowns. I turned it over to watch Duke and Boston College, and by the time I turned back, they gave up 2 touchdowns in the last 3 minutes and a half or something.
And 3 scores inside the last 4:49 of the half. North Dakota State scored. Wofford fumbled. North Dakota State scored, and then Wofford fumbled the kickoff. And North Dakota State scored.
Well, the last time they went up there, remember, Wofford misplayed a ball in the end zone, and the kid didn't down it or something, and they picked it up and scored a touchdown that way. I mean, so that kind of stuff has happened to Wofford up there before. But South Dakota State, to me, is kind of like I don't know. I guess that's as serious as it gets on the FCS level.
You mean North Dakota State?
North Dakota State, whatever.
Who lost to South Dakota State, who's also still alive.
Yeah.
In the playoffs. So,
but they won. North Dakota State has won like 5 in a row, or they'd won 5 in a row.
They did at one point.
And lost last year.
Yeah.
So
it's pretty good. And North Dakota still remains the.
And that's a grumpy old man thing too.
What's that?
Play the championship game before Christmas. Don't give us this 3-week layoff and then go to Frisco, Texas.
You folks can see the list is starting to get quite long.
It's a nice tournament. It's a great tournament. It's good viewing for ESPN. Let's go ahead and play the championship game the Saturday before Christmas.
Like they used to.
Yeah, like they used to. What was wrong with it?
Or at the very least on New Year's Eve.
Because you know what? It gets lost in the shuffle of...
Well, not now because they're playing it on January the 6th.
Well, but the other game is on the 8th.
Yeah, but I'm saying there's no other game.
Oh, well,
that day.
I know.
So,
but you got NFL playoffs and that kind of stuff.
Playoffs? All right, let's go to break.
South Dakota, North Dakota. Who knows the difference?
All I know is
erase the state line and just call it Dakota.
All I know is that Furman's loss to Wofford again kept me out of the state of North Dakota, and that's the only one of the 48 contiguous states I've yet to visit.
But some would look at that as a positive. So
I'd like to check it off the list.
Well, I hear it's a neat environment. But I really don't have any desire to go to North Dakota State in December. So.
The last time we went in 2013, I was fogged in with the basketball team of LaGuardia and didn't get to go. When the traveling party got there, it was like -4. And Robbie Ross and Corey Stewart, who were on the broadcast team at the time, shot a video of them with a cup of water, opening the hotel room door, throwing the water out, and the water freezing in midair.
First time my wife took me home to Oklahoma to show me off to the parents. It was 20 below when we landed at the Tulsa airport.
Oh, man.
Told her I might as well not even have clothes on.
And with that image burned in your mind, we'll go to break and come back with more. Hey, Fred makes his return on the other side. We'll be back right after this.
Stuck in a state of falling behind? Struggling to keep up with your kids, finances, insurance? Then let State Farm agent Steve Borkland in Traveler's Rest help you simplify and get to a better state. Because with Steve handling your auto, home, and life insurance, you'll have more time for everything else. More money, too, because adding State Farm policies could mean earning discounts worth up to 40%. That's money Steve can help you put towards a college savings plan. Call State Farm agent Steve Borkland today and get to a better state with State Farm.
Let me tell you something, Cowboy. This rookie can really bring the heat.
He's smoky and spicy with a Chipotle style all his own.
It's a new Montgomery Inn Chipotle barbecue sauce. Make it a part of your home team.
Available now at your neighborhood grocer or online at CincyFavorites.com.
All right, welcome back as we continue. Actually, a nice day here in the upstate. A little cold. I think winter has shown up.
Beautiful day.
Yep.
Beautiful day.
Put your microphone a little closer. I think.
I just had it. All I did was take my
there
earphone
you
off.
go.
I can't hear myself anymore.
You can't hear yourself.
No, I can't. What have you done?
I haven't done anything.
Well, something's happened. 'Cause I can't hear myself anymore.
Can you hear me?
No, through the headphone, yeah.
Well, you're supposed to hear me through the headphone.
Well, no, not through the headphone. I hear you, like, conversing.
You don't hear me through the headphone.
My headphones have gone dead.
Oh, man. What are we going to do?
I don't know.
So you don't, when I do this.
There, I can hear that. I can hear that.
Okay. Is that any better?
It's not the same.
Is that any better?
Something happened.
I didn't do anything. I don't know what happened.
I don't know if they can hear me anymore, which is probably a good thing.
I can hear you fine.
Okay, well, as long as you can hear me, that's good. I'll muddle out.
Folks,
along.
Until at least the end of the show today, Atlanta Bread is our presenting sponsor. And I want to thank Jeff.
Hopefully they'll stay with you after this.
Want to thank Jeff and his folks for everything they do for us and taking a long-term view of things with us as we try to build this thing. And matter of fact, Cobb and I are going there for lunch at Cherrydale Plaza right after the show today.
That's a warning.
Yeah, if you'd like to come and hang out with us, we'll be there right after the show. But
we're not signing autographs. No autographs.
Because
Dan ran out of 8x10 glosses.
Because nobody will ask. Nobody will ask. But thankfully,
I hope somebody asks. Someone will die laughing.
Oh my goodness! I forgot what I was going to say. Cold weather. You want something to warm the soul, so to speak, right? Well, they've got hot soup, they've got hot chili, they've got hot sandwiches and paninis, a bevy of hot drinks for you. They've got it all at Atlanta Bread Company. Do breakfast, which is where I eat most of my meals there before the show. But today we'll be there for lunch. Cherrydale Plaza in Greenville. Come and hang out with us. Are you ready for a little fun here?
Let's have some fun.
I mean, it's 18 minutes till the top of the hour. We probably should start if we're going to.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
I think we've held on long enough.
Well, as I said, it's old school week. We're trying to bring back some things. We are bringing back a segment called Hey Fred, where we ask a question of Fred Cunningham of News Channel 7 fame, and he responds. Well, here is today's answer, or today's question, rather, and which will be shortly followed by today's answer, we hope. But hey, Fred, it's old school week on the Dan Scott Show, bringing back former guests, co-hosts, etc. I thought yesterday's snow game in Buffalo was definitely old school. But just wondering, what would old school Fred TV look like? Inquisitively yours, Dan and Cobb. Here with his answer is Fred Cunningham.
Dan, I find your question to be a little bit confusing.
And we've got no audio.
How old school
No
do you want
audio.
to go? Do you want to go old school back when we had
Oh,
to
my
call the
goodness.
McDonald's
Let me see if I
and
can do it this
Landrum
way.
on Friday nights to find
At
out who
least
won
let
the
you
high
hear
school
it.
football game?
While
Or are we going
he's-
old school back to when
while
we
he's
used to tell
talking,
you
what happened to
film
Fred?
at 11, and at 11
Oh, my goodness.
you would watch
Oh,
film.
no.
What
Okay,
happened to
this is
Fred?
about as
Through all
old
that
school
to do
as
that
I
for
can
us,
go.
And now we can't hear
Enjoy.
what his answer is.
Yeah, maybe that's not a bad thing. Let's see if we do it this way.
Dan, I find your question to be a little bit confusing. I mean, how old school do you want to go? Do you want to go old school back when we had to call the McDonald's in Landrum on Friday nights to find out who won the high school football game? Or are we going old school back to when we used to tell you film at 11, and at 11 you would watch film? Okay, this is about as old school as I can go. Enjoy. When we used to tell you film at 11,
And what he
11,
did, which you don't see,
would
he
watch
sent
film.
a picture of
Okay, this is
himself
about as old school as I
as
can
a young
go.
child,
Enjoy.
side by side with a picture of Ralphie from.
And the similarity is scary.
Yes, it is. Oh my goodness,
Ralphie without the glasses.
It was. Well, it didn't work out quite the way we hoped, but things
whatever,
rarely,
whatever does.
Yeah, exactly. Things rarely did on the Dan Scott Show. Anyway, that's a film at 11. That is old
Meant
school.
you actually watched film.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that we've talked about this before, but there were in the early days of your ACC coverage and newspaper coverage when you guys would go on these preseason bus tours.
Oh, I went on 2 of them. They were great.
Around the league, the SIDs, among the things they would bring would maybe be some video highlight films, actually films, and do those type of things. Actually have to set up the projector.
Yeah, the first one I went on was 8 schools, and we ate prime rib we ate at the training table at every school, and then at night we had prime rib at 7 of the 8 schools. Clemson fed us shrimp and seafood, so Mr. Bradley always knew we needed a break, but those were a lot of fun. And we lost one of the main guys on that trip just about a month ago. Carlton Tudor of the Raleigh News and Observer passed away, and one of the legends of ACC sports writers. So, but yeah, those were a lot of fun. You'd get on the bus, and 8 days you would travel the ACC. It was It was amazing.
You know, apparently from the Facebook Live comments section, I'm reading they could actually hear the original Fred audio, and we couldn't.
Oh, okay.
So we had Fred audio on top of Fred audio.
Well, double dose of Fred.
We overdubbed Fred.
Well,
anyway.
Well, it's Fred in stereo.
That used to be the thing that you could scare someone the most with, but now it's like Dan and Cobb in high definition.
Oh yeah, that was scary.
Uh-huh.
Well, remember when we were in radio, people would ask us when we were going to get a webcam up, and we would just we'd always dance around that question because we just don't have faces for TV.
And yet here we are. And yet here we are. I had something. Oh, how about the speaking of old school?
Uh-huh.
How about the Modern Era Committee electing Jack Morris and Alan Trammell to the Baseball Hall of Fame over the weekend?
Okay, riddle me this, Batman.
Yeah.
There's a difference between the Modern Era Committee and the Veterans Committee.
Yeah, what they have now, they don't have a Veterans Committee anymore. You have a Modern Era Committee. You have a I forget exactly what the name it, but an older era committee that takes in the veterans, and then you have even a third committee that looks, I think, at like pre-1900 or something along those lines.
Again, Dale Murphy didn't make it again, so
that's all you care about?
Well, not all I care about, but 2-time MVP. Was a catcher who couldn't throw the ball back to the pitcher and made himself a good outfielder.
Yeah, it's a very fine center fielder.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess he'll never make it. But
398 career home runs.
Right. Yeah, and I guess he just those Braves teams were just so bad that it's going to keep him from ever getting into the Hall.
I don't know. It didn't hurt Ernie Banks.
Well, that's true. You're right.
Of course, Ernie had over 500 home runs.
Right.
Actually won an MVP playing on a last-place team.
Yeah, and he's still the only person to
do
and
that. Joey Votto came within 2 points of pulling it off this year for the Reds. But Ernie Banks, and that was when there were no divisions. It was one 8-team league.
Right.
And the Cubs were.
Well, you know why Joey Votto had such a great year. I got rid of him off my fantasy team.
Well, and all of us in Cincinnati land, thank you for that.
Whoever leaves the mud hole stompers immediately catches on fire and plays like they've lost their minds.
That remains one of my favorite names, by the way, for a fantasy league team, the mud hole stompers.
Well, and unfortunately, the mud hole stompers rarely stomp a mud hole in anybody.
You know, the guy who
I had Stanton and Judge this year on my team, so I know what the Yankees are getting ready to experience. I had both of them all year long and still finished last.
If Stanton and Judge were a tag team, a wrestling tag team,
mm-hmm.
who would they most resemble if we're thinking old school wrestling.
Well, they're both like 6'7", 6'8", 240. I think Judge, I saw he weighs 280.
Yeah, if the Undertaker and Kane
that's a big boy.
Matched up.
Yeah, I mean that's
together as a tag team.
That would have to be it. They were so much bigger than Ole and Gene Anderson, the Minnesota Wrecking Crew. But yeah, it would have to be some of the older WWE guys like I can't remember the name of the guy anymore. My memory's going bad. But yeah, there have been some large humans. I mean, Andre the Giant, obviously 7'4", I think. But yeah, I don't think you want to pitch to him, and I don't think you want to get in a bench clearing brawl with him either.
And you just have to hope that things don't go wrong, because the fight in the clubhouse could be epic as well.
Could be.
Hey, did you see the tweet from Aaron Judge yesterday? He used the clip from Step Brothers with Will Ferrell, and it says, hey, Giancarlo Stanton, did we just become best friends? Which I thought was pretty good. But anyway, yeah. But where I was going to go with the Hall of Fame thing was this: that the guy, if you're talking about sheer impact on the game of baseball, the guy who had as much impact on the game of baseball as anybody in the history of the game is Marvin Miller. And Marvin Miller was on that list again for the modern era committee.
Free agency, right?
And
he had a lot to do with that.
Just a players' union.
Players' union. Yeah.
And everything. I mean, nobody, if you think about it, at least from about 1969, which was when he became the head of the players' union, for all those years that he led the MLBPA into the late 70s, maybe even the early 80s, mid 80s. Nobody had a bigger impact on the game, how it's played, how it's governed, finances. I mean, if you're talking about criteria, off the field, his impact on the game is Babe Ruthian, if you want to compare it on the field.
Yeah.
And you wonder why players, especially ones who are on that committee, who were really the first ones that benefited from all the sweeping changes that he imposed as head of the Major League Baseball Players Association, you kind of wonder why more people aren't lobbying for him to get votes to be put into the Hall of Fame. Because quite honestly, if you're telling the story of the game of baseball, he belongs in that story. He belongs in Cooperstown. Whether you like the way the game turned or not.
And there you hit on it.
But the fact is that that's the game we have now.
I know.
And it's because of that guy.
Well, and you hit on it, I think, and just my initial reaction is that he is a lightning rod.
Sure.
And there are people who really, really like him and people that really, really don't like him. So
and usually that's divided among the players liked him and the owners hated him.
Right. So but then not being affiliated with a team or teams, I think that's probably a factor too. And you're a baseball historian. I'm sure there's other. I know there's commissioners in the Hall of Fame.
Sure.
But is there another player union leader in the Hall of Fame?
No, because until he got there was none that was even worthy of their name being remembered. Because the Players Association
was pretty weak.
What was almost an extension, if you will, of Major League Baseball itself. and any attempts to do anything, at the time to get rid of the reserve clause or to do anything to rock the boat, whoever that was just shuttled off, never to be heard from again. But Marvin Miller came from, a union background in the steel industry, and that's
so he brought a different mindset.
He brought a different mindset to it. And again, I'm not saying.
Well, and Kurt Flood had challenged it a few years earlier, and gotten the ball rolling there, and now it's just crazy.
But see, and again, you want to get into the grumpy old broadcaster thing.
Money. There's another one. Write that one down.
Money.
It's crazy.
But the owners,
just what we've seen in college football.
The owners brought it on themselves because they were making considerably more money than they let on. They were all crying poor mouth. And the reason there has been labor peace since the strike in 1994 is once that was resolved and the owners actually opened the books and showed everybody exactly how much money they were really making, then all of the excuses kind of fell by the wayside.
Yeah.
And so with that, with television revenue and everything else.
Will there be another strike? With guys making millions and millions and millions of dollars a year, do you think they'll have the courage, stupidity to say, we're going on strike? We don't want to pay you.
Well, you got to remember it's a two-way street. Some of those were strikes, some of them were lockouts.
Well, that's true too.
With the owners shutting it down.
That's true too.
Unless the memories have gotten ridiculously short.
They have.
I remember one time having Marty Brenneman on the radio show, and this was in the probably 2006, 2007 range, and we were talking about this because I think they had just signed another collective bargaining agreement, and he said that he did not believe in our lifetime, that's the words he used, our lifetime, that we would see another work stoppage in baseball.
Well.
Of course, Marty's 75
right
now, but so he may be right. I would be hard-pressed to think, although I will say this, I thought there were some cracks that started to show in this last negotiation a little bit, but they were able to get that under control. What's interesting to me is how things have completely turned 180 degrees, how it's baseball now that at least for right now has it figured out labor and management-wise, and football, which had it for all those years after the strike in 87 and flourished while baseball was still going through all of its mess. Now it's football that's on the other end of the stick. And baseball is flourishing. Baseball continues to set revenue records, attendance records, all these things.
My personal opinion, I just think you've got weak leadership in the NFL, and I don't think I'm the only one that believes that. But he's getting a new contract, so I guess the owners are happy with him. But he I think in some ways has lost control of the league, and the whole Deflategate thing I thought was ridiculous. I just think he's pursued a lot of stuff that has ended up making him look bad.
Yeah. Well, we will take one more break. It's 10:58. We'll run a few minutes over because I want to come back and we want to go through kind of this little bit of a list that we have here and also some other things. Ken had asked if there was any update on Carson Wentz from the Eagles, of course, who is from North Dakota State.
Right.
There's been nothing this morning yet, but the belief is that he tore his ACL on his left knee and that his season is over. Ironically, it came in a game that they clinched a playoff position, and he played 4 plays and threw a touchdown pass on a leg with apparently a torn ACL before coming out of the game. So no official word from the Eagles yet, but the former North Dakota State quarterback season appears to be done. So anyway, we'll take a quick break. We'll come back and get ready to put a wrap on things right after this. Don't go away.
Looking for a good lunch spot in the Travelers Rest area? The Cafe at Williams Hardware is your place. Williams Hardware has food for the whole family, from the famous Reuben to the barbecue chicken quesadilla and their daily lunch specials, which includes the award-winning BLT on pimento cheese with pepper jelly, served Tuesday to Thursday. Williams Hardware also serves breakfast on Saturdays from 8 to 11, perfect before Furman home game. And don't forget the gift shop, which offers items for anyone on your list. Go see your friends at the Cafe at Williams Hardware, 13 South Main Street in downtown TR. Full menu and operating hours at the Cafe at WilliamsHardware.com.
So you've got a busted phone or tablet screen. Time to get a new device? Nope. Time to give it CPR. CPR Cell Phone Repair at Cherrydale can repair almost any phone or tablet screen on the market and usually can do it same day. In fact, if you have an iPhone, the fix usually takes less than an hour. CPO Cell Phone Repair also can fix computers and gaming systems, both screens and hard drives. And they sell refurbished devices and new accessories. Stop by and see the new owner, Janet Culver, today and check them out on Facebook. That's CPR Cell Phone Repair at Cherrydale, 864-282-9097. Give it CPR today. All right, welcome back to the show as we continue here on this Monday edition. Old School Week, that is Cobb Oxford. I'm Dan Scott, and we're getting close to the end. We're going to hold over for just a few minutes here for a couple of reasons. One, I want to welcome a new sponsor to the show, Ridge Media. You see their logo there on the screen. A one-stop shop based in Greenville that does logo, print, website design, as well as search engine optimization and marketing. Clients range from startups to Fortune 500 companies. Locally owned marketing firm with offices in Greenville and in Charleston. So if you'd like to know more about what they do, you can schedule a free consultation by calling 864-354-6175, 864-354-6175 for Ridge Media. Tell Kenny that you heard about him here on the program. All right, so we got a decent little grumpy old broadcasters list here. Things to, get off our lawn and we're not giving you your ball back and all that kind of stuff. So what we come up with, we want no college football on Friday nights.
Exactly.
Friday night is high school football night.
High school football, period.
Yeah. We might live with college football on Thursday. If you have the previous Saturday off, we'll let you play on Thursday. And if you're the MAC, you want to play on Tuesday and Wednesday, I guess you can do that if you want to.
Yeah, nobody's watching anyway.
But no college football on Friday nights. We think there should be no NFL on Thursdays except for Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Totally. And I think a lot of the players agree.
Yeah, Thanksgiving is enough of a tradition. Mm-hmm. You expect to see the Detroit Lions, whether they're good or bad.
Right.
And I guess Dallas is the other.
Dallas. And they've added a third game recently. They've added a night game on Thanksgiving for the NFL Network. But the traditional sites have been Detroit and Dallas.
So we're cool with Thanksgiving,
right.
But take Thursdays off the table, and I guess leave it to the Thursday night college football, which has become kind of entrenched, if you wish. We talked about the FCS title game. Let's move it prior to the first of the year where it belongs.
Yeah, right before Christmas. Let's go ahead and crown the champion. Let's don't make us wait for the tournament to end.
And then, of course, money's always going to be a big topic.
Well, and you forgot Army-Navy.
Well, no, I'm coming back to
okay.
that.
I'm sorry.
I'm saving
I thought
that.
you skipped it. I'm
No.
sorry. Money in everything. Pro sports, college football. I mean, we've seen the ridiculous salaries and buyouts that are being thrown out, and you just wonder where it's going to end. And it could end with this new tax bill that is being debated at the moment and allegedly going to be wrapped up and passed. But in that tax bill is a provision that if you give a donation to a school and that donation is to get tickets in a certain place or a certain area, that donation will no longer be tax deductible. It is something that the big boys are very concerned about, and they don't, of course, nobody really knows which direction it's going in now, but in the past, like 80% of your donation would be deductible, but this new law is apparently going to wipe all of that out. So, I mean, you can still give to the school, and of course they'll want you to give, but there won't be any tax benefit for it.
Unless perhaps you spend even more money for tickets separately from your donation, or
I don't know how it's all going to work out, and nobody really. I've talked to the folks at IPTAY. I've talked to my financial advisor. Until the bill is finalized, I really don't think anybody knows how it's all going to shake out. But it could be it could have an effect on athletic donations. People will either decide not to give anymore, or they'll reduce the amount they give. There will be some who will continue to give at their current levels, but and of course, the way that usually these things work out, they'll find some sort of loophole to make it happen. But at the moment, there are those in college fundraising who are very concerned about it.
For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. There will be something that somebody figures out.
They will hope. Yeah.
But even at our level, even at the FCS level, you see kind of the trickle down economics. And we've talked about this in the past. We're sitting here at Furman in a 5-year-old facility here. This
is a nice place.
It is.
That statue out front is one of the most impressive things that I've ever seen. It really is.
But we needed this. When this place opened in 1981, it was state of the art.
I remember the old one.
And it was exactly the same up until 5 years ago when they knocked it down and built this. And now this is this is best in the conference and best in a lot of conferences, quite honestly.
Yeah.
So, even at our level, there is an arms race of a certain
It's
degree.
at every level of college athletics. Everybody is trying to make the student athlete experience as good as they can, and to make that happen, to make the world go round, you gotta have the Benjamins, you gotta have cash and TV money. Eventually, you gotta think. I mean, everybody's like, "No, we'll never have 8. We'll never have 8." Well, if the dollars are needed, they'll have 8. You know that, and I know that.
And I think the playoffs should be 8.
Right.
And I don't think it should go any higher than that.
No, I would agree. I think 8. I mean, I love the tournament. I love the 20 team. But I just don't think Division I. See, if Division I did it, then it covers that up again. So and the bowl system. And we have too many bowls, too. Write that one down. Too many. And I'm not the only one of that opinion. I mean, it's ridiculous how many bowls we have. I mean, you got 6 and 6 teams going to bowl games. I mean, and now we have names of bowls that we don't even know where they are. And I know it's great for the kids to get another trip and more practice and all that, but still, going to a bowl game doesn't mean anything. It just means you survived the season and managed to win 6 games.
And in all honesty, coaches like it. 80 teams go to bowl games. That means 40 coaches are going to be able to end the season on a winning note.
Oh yeah,
sure. Those sometimes are job savers.
Right.
So it is what it is.
I know.
Too many bowls adds that to the list. But in the oldest of old school, the grumpiest of grumpy old men, I think we end by talking about the pageantry, the great theater that is the annual Army-Navy game.
The salute to America that is the Army-Navy game.
Where every time the ball is snapped, there are 22 young men on that field who know at some juncture they're going to be called on perhaps to die for their country. Mm-hmm. And it's the only game in the entire college football season that really puts things into perspective. And I've seen people who've complained about the style of play and they don't like, the teams aren't any good. And you've got to look bigger picture. You've got to appreciate everything that goes along with it, with the cadets marching in and the midshipmen marching in and the combined singing of the national anthem. And as Cobb referenced, after the game, one side singing the other's alma mater to the other side, and then vice versa, and everything that goes along with it. And I remember in the early days of the show, probably in 2003, 2004, something like that, there was a time when the Army-Navy game was going to be homeless because they'd been playing, I think, in Baltimore. Or maybe it was in Philly, and they were going, because of some stadium reconstruction or something, there was a 3 or 4 year period where the game was looking for a temporary home.
Oh, yeah, we wanted to bring it to Death Valley.
And
I remember that.
We wanted to bring it to Death Valley.
Yeah.
And you would be surprised at the blowback that we got from people on the show. And I said, can you imagine?
What an honor that would be.
Can you imagine the midshipmen marching down the hill, the cadets marching down the hill, and we got people, we don't want those people on our hill. And people just completely forgetting the military background of Clemson as a university.
We both had our mouths open. We were shocked.
It was unbelievable.
It really was.
Again, you're talking the lunatic fringe. I think most people understood
where we were going with it. If they said they were bringing the Army-Navy game to Clemson, I don't think it's going out much on a limb to say it would sell out. I really believe that. I don't think
there's any question it would sell out.
I really believe that.
So when it was looking for a home, we were proposing that idea, and it was kind of shocking. And again, it's the lunatic fringe. We understand that. But there were those people, we don't want that game. It's bad football. We don't want them on our hill.
But it brings up an interesting point in that they call it, and I saw the banner Saturday, America's Game. Well, they always play it in either Philadelphia or Washington. I wonder why they don't, and I guess it's just travel costs of the cadets and the midshipmen trying to stay as close to Annapolis and West Point as possible. But still, why not take it?
Take it on the road?
Other places in the country. Share it with other people.
Yeah, I like it, but again, I think it would lose its luster to a certain degree because you would not get the same number of middies and cadets in the stands.
Definitely increase the travel costs.
And so I think that if you're talking from a fan standpoint and having those two student bodies represented as they are.
But do like they do with the national championship game now. Let schools or cities bid on the game. And I just think there's a big opportunity.
Yeah, see, now you're getting down here to your
I know,
number 8 on the list again, money
and controlling everything. But I just think and I guess part of it is I want to see one in person.
Yeah.
And the only way I'm ever going to see one in person is to get it closer to me. So.
In a world, sporting world of big business, and in a sporting college football atmosphere now that amateurism is looked at more and more cynically. I think that's safe to say.
Oh, yeah.
That this is maybe the single, at the Division I level, the single bastion, the light on the hill of true amateurism.
Right.
And what college athletics initially was meant to be, and in a rainbow and lollipop world, what it still should be. At least we have this game every year, and I hope that more and more people are beginning to understand what this game means, why this game is important, and why so many of us want to go to one before our time on this earth is done, because the sheer,
just the way it would move you emotionally if you're
pageantry, the patriotism.
If you're a citizen of the United States of America, I just can't imagine. And I've known people who have gone, and that's exactly their reaction. That it's just, it is a life-changing experience. Yeah. And another one popped into my mind. You must win your conference championship to play for the national championship.
Alabama, right?
I got a lot of blowback from that, and I'm not going to argue with you. If you tell me tomorrow you either have to play Alabama or Ohio State, then I'm going to pick Ohio State. But Ohio State won the Big Ten. Alabama didn't even win the SEC West yet. Alabama. And I posed this question to a few people. When are we going to see, last year we started seeing the trend of like Christian McCaffrey saying, well, or Leonard Fournette, that's a nothing bowl game.
I'm not
doesn't
mean
anything.
Yeah.
I'm going to sit out. Well, how far are we from the day where a Clemson goes 12-0 and then they go to the ACC? Well, you know what? Looking at the national landscape, we're the only undefeated team. I don't think we really need to come to Charlotte this weekend. Find somebody to fill in for us. Well, we're good. We'll take the weekend off, take our chances with the committee, and just sit on the sideline with your 12-0 record. If you're the only undefeated team in the country, the committee has already proven that they will pick. They've proved it 2 years in a row. They'll pick somebody who has not won the conference to participate in the
or at the very
tournament.
least played in the conference championship.
Right,
game.
yeah. But I mean, why do I need, just like Alabama, just take the weekend off and wait for the selection? So I think we're too far away from some adjustments taking place. I think we have to.
Well,
have
if you go to an 8-team format,
well, you get all 5 conference champions.
5 conference
automatic.
champions.
If you win your conference championship,
Yep.
you are in. Then the fist fight is about the other 3.
Well, and then I think one of those other 3 spots should go to the group of 5.
Yeah, a lot of people believe that.
And then you've got 2 at-large bids.
Yeah. Or you could go 5, 1 at-large, and give the top 2 a bye, which they have buys in the other tournament now. And I know there's concerns about the season being too long, and maybe you just get rid of the conference championship games. Do it that way. Because you're not going to take – I never will forget when I said once they got the 12th game, you're not taking away from them. And that's right, you're not, because that's one more day of income.
Mm-hmm.
And most of your big boys now need those 7 home games. Have to have the 7 home games.
Yeah. Stay off our lawn.
Take your stupid dog with you.
That's right.
Never liked that stupid dog anyway.
Oh, mercy. Thank you for indulging us today. We went a little long, but
yeah,
you
can go take your aspirin now.
Yeah, who cares? You don't like it, stay off our lawn. You're not getting your ball
Just
back.
don't hit the liquor cabinet till after lunch.
Tomorrow, Tom Van Hoy will be in here, so I'm sure it'll take a whole different turn. Whether that's good or bad remains to be seen. We'll talk a little more basketball and some other things on the show as well, heading into the final of the 5 straight home games for the Paladins in this stretch, and it's the final home game in the non-conference portion of the schedule on Thursday night against Montreat. So we'll kind of follow up on all that with Tom tomorrow. And in the meantime, thank you again for tuning in and spending some time with us here on the program today. It's good to see you, my friend.
Good to see you. Enjoyed it.
And like I say, if anybody wants to come be tortured further, we're heading to the Atlanta Bread Company for lunch right now in Cherrydale Plaza. So warn your friends. We're on our way. Until tomorrow, you folks have a great day, and we will see you later.